Drove by that next day and you could see how close that was to that home. I mean, kept it to 2 acres on a Sunday morning when it's hot like that. I mean, to keep that to 2 acres and away from that house, something heroic had to happen. So hats off to our unified fire team.
Welcome to Herrimanology,
the official podcast to keep up with Herriman City.
We'll take you inside the city, explore the latest news and updates, show you how your government operates, and discuss the issues that affect us all. Now, here are your hosts talking all things Herriman on Herrimanology.
All right, welcome to Herrimanology. It is Thursday, June 27th, and we're back in our studio of sorts. We were out at Town Days last week. It was kind of funny because that was kind of not a last-minute decision, but it was definitely we didn't plan on this, let's just make it work sort of decision. And everybody liked it. They liked it better.
Fun. Yes, we should do that more often.
We might have to. I've never really considered doing a show on the road, but
here we go.
We go. I'm John LaFollette, Communications Manager for Herriman City, alongside Mayor Palmer.
Good to be here.
And this room is really hot, by the way. We just filmed an episode with Chief Carr and Bethany and Brittany from the crossing guards under the PD. So we'll release that in a little bit, but it's really hot in here. So if I start sweating, I'm sorry. But it's not Town Days hot.
Oh, that was hot. Yes.
By the way, thank you for everyone coming out to Town Days. That was super cool. It was really fun to see everybody. And it's, working in an office, a lot of the times at least I forget their faces and people. And when we put something out on any platform, they're actual people listening or watching or reading, and it's always a good reminder for me, at least, to see people at Town Days or at events. And you're on the community a lot more than I am, but it's a nice reminder, and it's good to get face-to-face interaction with people.
And I think it's good for the residents that live here to realize that there's people behind the decisions that are made too, behind what makes this city. It's not just the city, right? We hear that a lot. We hear the city. Well, it was good to have so many staff members out there. There's real people here that care about this city, that are doing a bang up job running the city and pulling off events like we did last week. So it's good. I love the humanizing aspect of events. And I think that's what it does for me, is makes us all realize we're human and in this together. So
yeah, for sure. We're moving toward July, and most people equate July with fireworks.
Yes.
Please be safe with the fireworks. We're going to talk about this really quick. State law,
not city law,
not the city.
Yep.
State law is that you can light fireworks between July 2nd and July 5th, between 11 a.m. and 11 p.m.
Right.
The one exception is on the 4th, you can go an hour later till midnight.
Right.
Same thing for Pioneer Day. It's 22nd through the 25th.
Right.
11 to 11. On the 24th, you get to go to midnight.
Right.
You cannot light fireworks on July 1st. You cannot light fireworks on July 6th.
So don't do them Saturday. Right.
Please, just don't. We had a fire on Sunday morning. This was not firework related.
Luckily.
We'll talk about this. We have had firework fires in the past, and they're really irritating because they're totally preventable. It causes a lot of damage, takes a lot of time and money, and potentially heartbreak depending what burns.
Right.
We've had a couple of years with no firework fires, and Unified Fire is so grateful.
Right.
Let's make it another year, please. Fireworks are fun. They're also dangerous. Please be smart.
Yep. That's all we can ask. We don't want, it's a rough year. It's been hot. We had a lot of water, so it's green. Everything's green, and now it's hot. So it's really a recipe for, it could be bad. So we just ask everybody to cooperate. If you're in an area that doesn't allow it, just don't do it. Find a neighbor or another area where there's plenty of fireworks. We love our fireworks in Herriman. There's plenty of neighborhoods that are doing them that can do it safely.
There is a map on herriman.org/fireworks that shows all allowable places to light fireworks in the entire county.
Right.
It's not just Herriman City, although we did approve our portion of the map a few months ago.
Right.
We, meaning you.
Right.
I didn't vote on it. You did. And that's at the recommendation of Unified Fire. And it's the balance because I think if some firefighters had it up to them, they just banned fireworks completely and called a night. Mm-hmm. that's not how we work. We do allow it in some places,
Right.
And I don't believe we can ban them completely.
Correct.
The state wants people to be able to light fireworks in safe areas. So
Right.
Herrim.org/fireworks, you'll find the interactive map. Zoom into your neighborhood or someone else's neighborhood and see if it's allowed. And if it's not allowed, just don't light them off. It's not allowed for a reason.
Right.
That's not people throwing darts at a map and saying, let's kill all the fun. There are places to have fun, and there are places that you shouldn't be lighting off fireworks.
Right.
Herrim.org/fireworks. We're not going to go into a whole list of everything you should do to be safe with fireworks. I had a bullet list here that I copied and pasted from our website. I don't want to beat a dead horse too much,
Right.
but don't be stupid.
Just
please.
be smart. Yep.
They're dangerous. They're flammable. They're explosive. That's why they're fun.
Yes, that's true. Yep.
But they can cause a lot of damage if you don't do them right.
Right.
So please be safe and enjoy. I do want to touch on that Sunday morning fire too. We always have incidents at our city at the worst times. Every staff member was just, no pun intended, burned out from
Right.
town days. Just totally fried.
Couldn't believe the timing. Yeah.
We get a text Sunday morning, hey, there's a fire. So that was a downed power line. Technically, it wasn't in Herriman. It was in unincorporated Salt Lake County.
Barely. Yep.
Across the street to the north and to the south is Herriman. Weird spot on the map, but
Right.
technically in the county. Unified Fire responded really quickly, and I wasn't there, but in the words of Captain Barker, heroically, to be able to save that home that was right there.
Right.
Super cool. Just a big shout out.
Yeah,
to
I drove
FA.
by that next day, and you could see how close that was to that home. I mean, it was kept it to 2 acres on a Sunday morning when it's hot like that. I mean, to keep that to 2 acres and away from that house, something heroic had to happen. So hats off to our unified fire team.
It was really windy too that morning. So close call. Those are things that aren't really preventable. That's just a downed power line that just happened, and a lot of people had power outages. And that is an automated system that Rocky Mountain Power puts in place so that when there is a downed line, they don't keep electricity flowing to it and further igniting fires. It automatically shuts off. That's what that was about. They got it fixed.
Right away. Hats off to them, too. They responded quickly with that. They had a 3 o'clock, I think, time at the first, and it only was maybe half an hour it was out. So
Yeah.
it was good.
So thanks to Rocky Mountain Power, UFA. It may be a good time to point out Herriman City doesn't do everything.
Right.
Your power has nothing to do with Herriman City. That's Rocky Mountain Power. Your gas line is Dominion Energy, most likely. Your sewer is South Valley Sewer. All those are completely separate entities. We try to relay information where we can, because we know a lot of people come to the city for information, but we
Right.
don't provide those services.
Right.
Even Unified Fire, that's a separate entity that we work really closely with,
Right.
but they are not in Herriman City.
Right.
So maybe just a good time to revisit that too.
Absolutely, for sure.
And I want to note too, 132nd South, not 134th, 132nd, a new road, long awaited, is close to the finish line. It's
Close.
not open yet, but it's close. What do we know? What's the latest update on that?
I think they're paving a portion of that next week. The city portion, there's 2 portions of that road, actually. There's the city portion. When I say the city portion, within the city's
Maintenance responsibilities.
Yes. And then there's part actually where it connects into Mountain View that has to be done separately. That's a different level of paving, believe it or not. And that's done, I think, 2 weeks later. I believe that's towards the end of July. So we're probably towards the end of July before we're fully completed out there. But we're close. We're getting there.
And that's something that we definitely have. That's not a city project. We're not doing that one. We are reimbursing them for the work later, but that's not something that we're doing.
Yep. Won't even be city property yet until it's done and deeded over to us. It's
Exactly.
the contractor. It's a developer build road. Yep.
So at this point, still a totally private thing that it'll be turned over to the city eventually.
Yep.
But that'll be done soon. And 134th will be closing later in the fall. The through
The east-west underneath.
the east-west, underneath Bangerter Highway. Again, not something the city can control. But they wanted to make sure 132 was done before 134. And speaking of 134, the westbound section that's been closed for the last week and a half.
It has been a mess. I know it's been a pain for our residents and a lot of frustration, but we just got word from Riverton this morning that it's open earlier. I had to schedule a day, but still we'll take it. So the commute, if you probably won't get this before a Thursday night commute, but it is open Thursday. So, I will say there's been a lot of accusations thrown at our neighbors this was just a needed tie-in for them and the utility road, the utility work. We just happen to be downstream, unfortunately, but it's much needed. We're going to have those tie-ins eventually to some commercial projects down the road. So it's a needed thing. It's awful to get through it, but once it's done, it's worth it. So
kind of interesting timing and location too. I had a meeting with a monthly meeting with a group of people over the Bangerter and 134 project. So that's ongoing. There are some unforeseen hangups with this particular westbound closure that was just opened. But in a lot of ways, this is almost a dress rehearsal for the long closure that's going to be 300 days. Starting, they're looking at early to mid-November. But it's interesting. There are a couple of things that they learned from this, and they've done a lot of intersection closures with all these different Bangerter interchanges. But with this one, there were a couple of things that were learned that they're going to make sure are included to make the long-term Bangerter interchange closure less painful.
Oh, that's good.
So
I probably read way too much social media, way more than I should. But I know there's some feelings that the city hasn't planned. This area hasn't been planned east-west, and I think we all feel. I think sometimes the residents forget we live out here too and get trapped in those same frustrating traffic situations. And so we know we are working frantically, trying to bring money and all sorts of options for more north-south routes on the west side of the city, more east-west, east-west. I mean, it's tough. They're at a point we are where we're at. There's not a lot of certain ways we can do, but there are options we are exploring. I will say UTA did release the preliminary look at for their 5-year plan, and we're finally looking at a bus line through the city again. So, and they actually mentioned they might be able to try to get that online next year, but more to come on that. So that's a good sign that UTA is hearing this as well, and we're hopefully going to have some transit options too to help.
Probably a good time to highlight too that city boundaries are real. Like they're not visible, but we in Herriman City can't force something in another city.
Yep.
And a lot of people seem to struggle to understand that. And this isn't a shaming or anything, but we can't force anything in Riverton or in Draper or West Jordan. We can use relationships. We talked about that last week too. Mm-hmm. We can use relationships to try to help influence and work together the best we can, but we can't force UDOT to do anything. We can't force UTA. We can't force South Jordan, West Jordan, Riverton to do anything. We can work with them. Right. In a lot of ways, we work really well together. But yeah, those comments are made, and we do see them, even if we don't always respond to them, that, right. The city has failed to plan this. In a lot of ways, it's out of our control. In some ways, we can try to help influence, and like you said, try to gain funding, outside sources to help with some of these issues, but they're regional issues, and we can't mandate anything right. outside of our boundaries. And even inside our boundaries, there are a lot of limitations.
Yeah. But we're working at it. We just keep trying to get better and do what we can within our scope.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's enough for today. It is hot in here. I'm starting to feel the sweat coming.
You're feeling it now.
So we're going to call it good. Went a little bit longer today than we thought. It felt like a lighter week, but there's always something to talk about.
I like to talk. So I'm sorry for that.
Love it. Thank you for listening and watching. Enjoy your 4th of July holiday. Please be safe. Please be considerate, and we'll catch you next time.